The client from hell. We have all had them. Hopefully, you've had fewer of them. What can you do to avoid them in the future? How do you prevent yourself from constantly ending up with the client from hell? That's what I'm going to talk about today in this video. Hey, it's Samantha Hartley of the Profitable Joyful Consulting Podcast. This is season 12, and I am talking about my 10 drivers of a consulting business in this season. Today's driver is perfect clients. So how do we end up with anything but perfect clients? Well, how do you end up with the client from hell? I'm going to talk about 5 things that you need to know about clients from hell, how you can avoid them, what you can learn from this situation. Let's jump into it. First thing, I can't say the client from hell without you probably wanting to hear my client from hell story. Yes, I have had them. I've had a few. There's 3 big ones who stand for me as kind of pillars of hell. And I'll talk to you about how I use those pillars in my business and how I learned from them. But first, let me just tell you about Susan. That is actually her real name. I'm not going to bother to come up with a pseudonym. Susan was a very, very early client in my business. And she had an idea for kind of like a little marketing agency that she was doing. The idea she thought was revolutionary. It wasn't that creative. It's kind of like what agencies are doing for their businesses. So that should have been one of my first indicators. So she was very new. Too new is the first way she was a client from hell. Too new in her business to really benefit from what I do. Over the time that we were working together, we had a major values clash because the ideas that I would give her for growing her business, they seemed to pollute, in her words, her idea of how it should happen. So she seemed to have a kind of a very spiritual approach. And if y'all have listened to my show, you know I'm spiritual. I'm all about the stuff. She felt it was bringing the sewer into her sanctuary. I'm just quoting her literally. So whenever I talked about commerce, monetization, any ways that she could actually turn this business idea into something that would earn money for her, which is kind of the point, it was polluting her idea. So I don't know what she envisioned for that, what she thought would be this like angelic currency that we would all be using instead of selling her thing for money or doing any kind of marketing for it. I don't know if that was some telepathy. You can hear we did not share values about how that should happen. And if it's not obvious, the last piece is that she was not coachable. So I would give ideas. She would have a hissy fit about those ideas. And I would be like, you asked for ideas. She asked for input. So finally, one time, my husband and I had a conversation about it because he was kind of involved in this. And I said, I don't know how to work with somebody who is like, they keep pushing the help button and that generates help, asking for help. And he said, and I think this is really critical, it's possible that the way that you can help her most is to allow her to crash this, into the side of a mountain, right? Her business was not going to thrive the way she wanted to do it. Was maybe the best learning that she could do was to have this business fail, which it inevitably did after I left. And let that be a learning experience for her. So we can't help everybody. That's my first point to you, nor should you. So, there was crazy symbolism happening while I was working with this client. We were in San Diego. There was a rainstorm that never happens in San Diego. The toilet in her office clogged, right? So the universe was sending me all of this symbolism of like, get out of there, which I eventually did, as you can hear. But as I mentioned, you do not have to help everybody in your business. You should not help everybody. And so one of the first things that we need to know in our business is how to say no to the wrong thing. Introduce the principle into your life that you are not going to work with everybody who shows up, with anybody who shows up. You're not even going to work with, and this was so confusing for me, someone who says, I need your help. Will you help me? We have to be able to say, no, I will not help you because you're not a fit. What you need and what I do are not the same things, or even though they were the same things in that case, what you want and what I do are not going to be a fit for one another. So you do not have to take that client on. And if you happen to have, as I did, end up taking that client on unintentionally, you do not have to continue with them. So there were many junctures at which I could have bailed from that. And then I eventually did bail from it. when I realized we're in an impasse, we're never going to get anywhere. So I want you to just allow yourself to let that in. If this is a new idea for you, don't work with anybody. And if you've accidentally ended up in a situation where you're like, whoops, I don't think that we can, I can't be successful here, and the client can't be successful with me. Nobody has to be wrong. It just ends up not being a fit. It's okay to say, I think we should just stop working together. Now, the mechanics of how to do that are for another episode, but just in general, give yourself permission to say, oh, I think I got into something I don't want to be in, and I don't want to continue. Then just you are allowed to let that go for those reasons. Okay. So knowing that we can say no to wrong clients from hell, I want you to think about what is a perfect client for you. And this is my second point. We have to know what is a perfect client for us, and we have to work exclusively with perfect clients. Why? Just because, like, yay, that's fun? No, because of profit and joy. It's the Profitable Joyful Consulting Podcast. The number one determiner of profit or joy in your business is going to be the clients that you work with. Why? Because terrible clients, the client from hell, is necessarily going to be unprofitable and unjoyful. How are they unprofitable? Like, aren't they paying me? And it's just like, I'm just having a hellish time. No, poor fit clients actually are not profitable. They don't want the best of what you do. They don't bring out your best. They're not efficient to work with. They usually have habits which cause like them being late or wasting time or asking for too much or not implementing or all of these qualities that make them a poor fit for you and a bad client. And if you want referrals or testimonials, well, you can't get them from them because they're only going to refer other people like themselves. You don't want to replicate that client. Conversely, if you have perfect clients, they want the best of what you do. They pay you joyfully and on time. They show up for your meetings prepared. Like, think about the qualities of perfect clients. They refer you to other great people like themselves. They give you testimonials and case studies. They help you pull through your genius through yourself by asking great questions. Like, perfect clients are amazing. So as you can hear, I'm not talking about, this is not a value judgment about a perfect person. Everybody's a flawed human being, but perfect clients, exactly what they need is exactly what you do. And that combo is going to make your business profitable and joyful. So give yourself permission to work exclusively with perfect clients. My third point here, Blink. Did you ever read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell? It's all about how in an instant we know things, and then we override those things, or we don't notice those things because they happen so fast. That kind of intuitive moment, that single hit of intuition or awareness, it can even be brain awareness. We see something, and then a lot of times we move on from that. When people tell me I have the client from hell and I'm struggling right now, how to get out of this, or they've gotten out of it and they're like, whew, how do I make sure that doesn't happen again? What I will ask them is, what was the earliest point at which you knew this client was going to be a problem? When did you see that? It's not in the third meeting. I will assure you that in the very, very first interactions with that client, whether it's when they first reached out to you, but definitely on the discovery call, definitely in those opening meetings, you're going to have seen something where you think, I think something about this is not going to be quite right. But then either because, well, we like them, or other stuff is going well, or whatever, we step over that initial moment of awareness and we go ahead and work with them when we shouldn't have, right? So you saw a red flag, but you didn't stop. Just blazed right through the stop sign. At least consider things to be yellow flags and pause and inquire about more. So sometimes a client can be like, perfectly good, but you see a little something, stop and acknowledge it, and then ask some more questions, like learn a little bit more. With clients from hell, I assure you, we don't do that. So I'll look back at all of my interactions with my dreadful clients that I've had, and I'll think, well, the first moment I knew that was when they were late for the first payment, or when they didn't bring, when the person I was asking questions to began every sentence with no, that's something. Like everything, the go-to was no. So you'll have seen something which indicated that this was going to be a problem and you ignored it, Or you shushed it away, or you thought, it's probably not that big a deal, right? So we have to acknowledge those blink moments in order to prevent the clients from hell from turning into clients. Okay. Fourth thing, a client from hell is your spiritual teacher. They come into our lives to teach us something about ourselves. We have attracted that person into our life or that company. We have attracted this experience into our lives to learn something, to teach ourselves something. So when you look back at the client from hell, I want you to ask yourself, well, what was that client here to teach me? If I look back at Susan, she was, oh my gosh, it was so early in my business. She was there to teach me so many things. Can you imagine how grateful I am for her? I am so grateful to her for being my spiritual teacher. She taught me, I can't work with someone who's that new in their business. They need to have a proven concept. I don't work well with people who don't share my values that growing a business and making a lot of money in your business is a good thing. I need people to believe that. I'm good at helping people make a ton more money in their businesses. And if they don't want that, then we're at cross purposes, right? She taught me that just because people ask you for help doesn't mean they really want or need your help. And that I cannot help everybody who thinks they need my help. I could go on, but those are really, really big lessons that she taught me so early in my business. That was 20 years ago. 18-ish years ago, right? So what are the lessons that the client from hell is coming to teach you? Please do not squander this opportunity by needing to relearn them again and again with other clients from hell. Just learn it the first time. Thank them. Thank you, Susan. And then move on with your life, okay? They can all be perfect clients after that. I mean, seriously, you can have all perfect clients that you work with where the challenge is the work and not the people, right? Let the challenge be the work that you're doing and not the people. All right. My last tip here on avoiding the client from hell. Don't be one. When you are someone else's client, would you please be a perfect client? Figure out what it means to be a perfect client for whoever those people are. So if I'm the client of, somebody who is coming to help me with things around my house or things in my personal life or our finances, or if I'm in a coaching program, I always want to know, what's the expectation here? What does it take to excel at the thing that I'm wanting to do, whether it's I want to learn a language or I want to be better with my finances. What do they need me to do? Show up, ask good questions, implement. That's usually the bare minimum, right? So can we at least do those things? So think about if you can be a perfect client for everyone for whom you are a client, and then you kind of don't attract crappy clients into your life anymore. So, how do I be a perfect client? And then can I notice more quickly if I am doing something that I would hate if I were the person working with me? Keep an eye on that. So those are 5 ways that you can avoid the client from hell. Again, you do not have to allow these people into your business. You can have a joyful and profitable consulting business, and it's pretty simple. If you want to know more about the 10 drivers of a consulting business outside of just perfect clients, then check out samanthahartley.com/super, and you'll find the link to my self-assessment where you can not only learn about the 10 drivers, but also assess yourself on how you're doing on them. And with that, I do wish you a profitable and joyful consulting business. Thanks for watching. I'd appreciate it if you'd like this episode, and if you enjoyed the show, why not subscribe? Be sure to click the bell to get notified when new episodes drop.